Real Madrid, Real Madrid. They'll always be Real Madrid, man. They have just done what I think a lot of people expected them to do, but they found a way to make it a bit more complicated for themselves. But I guess instead of doing that, looking at it that way, we should give credit to Borussia Dortmund. Wow, they played their marbles off in this game, and Madrid were lucky, I would say, to go into halftime with the score where it was. But Dortmund were very good, man. And considering that they're a team that sells their best players every other transfer window in the summer, they they were just really like next level today in the way they performed. They made this game very interesting for everybody. Even gave a lot of people hope that they might pull off the upset. So I just think, yeah, instead of saying Madrid made it interesting, I think, yeah, I guess maybe the fair thing would be to look at it from the Dortmund side because they really played their hearts out there today. And it wasn't to be for Marco Reus and the Germans. Um, well, not, I mean, I didn't really care who won the game today. I just wanted to see a good game. And I think Dortmund really gave us that. They had most of the ball. Karim Adeyemi had what a game. Like he had such a great time down the right flank of Madrid's right side, Dortmund's left side. Jadon Sancho was a bit anonymous. Wasn't bad, but he played within the structure. I think Adeyemi was definitely the more dangerous of the front players. Fulkrug had a few opportunities where he could have punished Madrid as well. But I mean, Adeyemi for me was just like basically the danger man in that first half. Funny enough, um, the guy who was tormented by him turns out with a game winner for Real Madrid in the second half, Tony Carvajal, winning his Champions League, sixth Champions League win for the old man, sixth for Modric, Tony Kroos maybe that was number five. I'm not sure, but I know Tony Kroos has been in Madrid for a while as well, and proper sending off for him. He gets the cross from the corner. He didn't have his best game today, Kroos, but when it came for the big moment, there he was contributing with an assist for the first goal that Madrid scored. But but yeah, like I just think Madrid were kind of similar to what they did against Manchester City, especially at the Etihad. They were outplayed, and it was surprising how long they stayed in that funky period of the game. I want to say they probably wrestled a little bit of control in this game, just the last 5 or 4 minutes of the first half, and then into stoppage time. And I thought they were going to come back in the second half after being totally outplayed, totally dominated in the first half. I was like, yeah, they can't be this bad for this long, for longer than, a half. And they came out in the second half and they did more of the same. Dortmund, I remember writing some notes over here. Second half, 47th, 48th minute, um, Dortmund corner. And then from that corner, Vinny Jr. gets a loose ball, carries it across, finds himself like within 25 yards or so from the Dortmund goal. He gets fouled. From that, they manufacture a free kick that Tony Kroos takes really well. Um, and it forces Kerbal to make a save, a really, really good save. And Carvajal gets a header from the resulting corner from that Tony Kroos free kick, but he doesn't score at that time. And then 52nd minute, Matson shot deflected, goes out for a corner. 52nd minute, 53rd minute, Dortmund get a corner. 54th minute, No, 53rd minute, goal kick, Madrid, da da da. And then again, I wrote something there, like I think now it's like 55 minutes in. Madrid need to make a change here. They need to bring in Diaz for Rodrigo, who had been anonymous for most of this game. And I was surprised at how long Ancelotti actually set on the substitutions because it looked like he had the deeper of the two team benches, and I thought he would have gone to the bench sooner than what he did. The earliest change he made was Kroos and Bellingham, 85 minutes gone, and 90 minutes gone. Rodrigo stayed on the pitch until 90 minutes. So I was really, really surprised of that because the boy had been very, very poor, and it allowed Dortmund to basically cheat and defend on the Vinicius Junior side a lot more. And as a result, I thought, that was one of the reasons they could kind of like cheat down the Real Madrid left hand side because that's where Madrid usually plays from. I still think, you know, Kroos and Vinicius Juniors made the impact when it counted the most, but both of them didn't have their best games. Let's not kid ourselves. Like the poor performance from Rodrigo, um, and not just him. I think Jude Bellingham as well didn't have his best of games. He was okay. Um, I just think Camavinga was probably of the front six players that Madrid have. I think Camavinga was the guy who did the best work. Um, yeah, they just found a way today to just piece together a performance that was just enough, but they were definitely not the team that most Madrid fans will have seen throughout the season. But it doesn't matter how you do it in the final. Final is all about the outcome, and they got the outcome. They've had a great season, Real Madrid. They just, yeah, they ran away with the La Liga title and had the opportunity. Probably that's why they were not so good today. Um, it's because they've been playing, a lot of the second string players over the last few weeks to give their starters time to relax a little bit. And then in the last game of the season, they played the starters again. But it had been quite a bit of a break for a lot of these Real Madrid starting players. Um, since they had been in some kind of rhythm. They won La Liga early, which meant people could be set down to get back into health, and rest sometimes can create this a little bit of rust. It can. So it worked overall. It worked for Madrid, but maybe that's why they didn't play to their best. Is because they had been set down for quite a bit over the last few weeks. I can't speak badly about Dortmund today. They played their hearts out. They played really, really well. Edin Terzic, if he's not staying there for real, I think he is gonna get himself a good job somewhere, either in Germany or England, Italy, in anyway in the top 4 or 5 leagues in European football. This dude will find himself, in a good situation. I think teams like Brighton, teams like your West Hams or other teams in the middle um, of the Premier League could probably go for him. Um, his style of football is really, really beautiful. I think he'd be even better than um, some people closer to the top end. I can see him coaching a very good club like maybe a Tottenham or Manchester United, maybe even Arsenal someday. I don't know. But that's Arsenal's gonna not is not gonna make any changes anytime soon. But yeah, I really like the way he plays. Um, he's good with like working within a structure, which is what a lot of clubs are trying to do. Um, and considering that, he's lost, Bellingham, who he played against today, and, they've lost, in their last couple of years, Erling Haaland, they've lost Jadon Sancho, they've lost a lot of players that are really good, and they're probably going to lose more, kids like Adeyemi, maybe if he continues to develop, he will leave. And yeah, I just think this dude is a really good coach. If like, at least as a person who doesn't support the club, I don't know what fans of Dortmund would say, but every time I've watched them play, they've played some really good stuff. So for me, he he's somebody I think a lot of teams should be watching out for. Um, I know they didn't have the best season in Germany, but in this final, there was one team that looks like they were on it, and that they were well coached, and that they were on the front foot until I think they started running out of gas. Because the pace they were playing at, the speed at which they were running was incredible. They didn't let Madrid breathe for that first maybe 65, 70 minutes. Um, Madrid eventually scores like in the mid 70s, like 74, 75 minutes into the game. And and that's when I think Madrid really started coming into life. They were purring at that point. Once they scored that goal around minute 75, they they just came to life. And Dortmund was not going to. It looked to me from that point that Dortmund were never coming back into the game. I know Dortmund got a little bit unlucky again with a full Krug headed goal that was ruled offside, rightfully ruled offside. Um, so yeah, I just think there's something about Real Madrid and big occasions. I don't know if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy on both sides, whether the team doesn't give up because they are Real Madrid, and sometimes maybe the opponent also caves because it's Real Madrid. Um, but to think that this team are the likeliest team to get Kylian Mbappe in the next month or two, and you look at the age of the players on that team, especially on the front six positions. Um, Valverde is 25. I think he's the oldest if you take out Tony Cruz because he's leaving. Cruz is 34. Camavinga, 21. Bellingham, 20. Rodrigo, 23. And Vinny Jr., 23. You add Kylian Mbappe to that, you're cooking. And then the back line is kind of oldish, 28, Mendy, Carvajal, 34, sorry, Carvajal, 32, Nacho, 34, Rudiger, 31. So outside of Cross, everybody in that front six position is 25 or under. That's a really, really good platform to build from. And, they'll find like good defensive players, I'm sure. There are guys in their early 30s will probably continue to play a little bit. Alaba is also, and Militao. Militao is probably in his mid 20s, I would say. Um, let me double check real quick. Militao is, yeah, 26. So they already have players in their squad who will, grow into the next layer of top class defenders in the world for the next 5 years or so. And Courtois, I mean, I don't know what you can say about this guy. I don't know what you can say about this guy. He missed most of this season through injury. They have Lunin, who didn't play today, but played most of the knockout stages of the Champions League, and you set that guy down, who got you through the penalty shootout against Manchester City, and you replace him with Thibaut Courtois. You know, Kepa is a third choice goalkeeper. That's a player that Chelsea paid 70 million or so to get him signed. Um, and he's probably gonna head back to Chelsea. I don't think Madrid keeps him. But yeah, like it's just a really, really good game of football because the underdog showed up and played like the big boys. And I'm surprised that the stats of this game have Madrid with 57% of the ball. Um, but for XG, Real Madrid have less XG than, and that makes sense. Dortmund had 1.88 XG versus Madrid 1.14. 13 shorts for both teams. And then big chances. Dortmund have three big chances. Madrid had one big chance, scored two goals. Um, Madrid had a lot more passes, but it looks like probably they were playing the ball at the back, I think, because Kroos had to come deep a lot. I don't remember them troubling um, Kerbal too much from like open play and opportunities like that, but they did have some good set piece opportunities and some chances of their own. Um, but yeah, it's a very, very, yeah, there we go. Open play XG. Madrid had 0.64 open play XG, which is what I thought I saw because it was like, I was like, they couldn't have done a lot through open play because Dortmund depended them well. Madrid at 0.64 open play XG, whilst Dortmund had 1.82 open play XG. Um, so the numbers are telling the story that I saw, with the exception of Madrid having more of the ball than I thought than I had been, that I had anticipated to see. I thought they would have less of the ball than the share that they had, which is quite a lot. Actually, it's 57% of the ball. That, yeah, I didn't think it would show up this way. But I guess with the way Dortmund play with so much speed as well, they probably don't knock it around. For as like their game is not as patient in their build up as Madrid's is. But my God, what a game! What a game! What a game! Um, Shout out to Eduardo Camavinga. The kid has played at left back. Today he played as a six because Chouameni was not available to play, and I mean he was available, but only to be fit enough to be on the bench. Um, I think if Chouameni is fit, he probably plays ahead of um, Camavinga at number six, and Camavinga probably is on the bench or is at left back. But he had a really, really good game today. Carries the ball so well, really elegant, good shooting with his left foot. I can't speak highly enough of this kid. He's so poised, and yeah, I think if fronts know what they're doing, he should be starting in the Euros. He, if they're playing a double pivot, I don't care who the selection of players are. I think him and Chouameni should start. But fitness might keep Chouameni out. Maybe it could be him and Yusuf Fofana. But yeah, my God, what a player Kamavinga is. Had a really nice couple of shots as well late in this game. But I do think central midfield is his best position for sure, even though he can cover up at left back, as Ancelotti has done, has used them in the past. Um, I think one last word on Carlo Ancelotti before I kept this one up. I listened to a lot of podcasts talking about Ancelotti and his lack of identity, and how, whether that's repeatable or not. And some people like Rafa Honigstein was saying, he's an outlier. You can't repeat that. And that like teams should play, with this within a certain style. I think I think that's true to an extent, but I think Carlo Ancelotti is is basically any club's dream if the club itself is not obsessed with a certain way of playing. Because if you give him any concoction or any squad or any like combination of players, it looks to me that Ancelotti looks at what do I have and how can I make the best dish out of what I have. He can whip up a dish of any kind, including when he went to Everton. We really saw how crappy Everton are once he left because other people couldn't do, like, I think he finished like eighth or ninth or whatever when he was there, which, that it wasn't pulling up any trees. But what that was telling us was the talent level at Everton was the problem. And yes, some people will say, you know, it's easy to do that at Real Madrid. It's not. It's not because as much as people like to think of Ancelotti as like a man manager, which is true, he's very good with with his relationship management. He's like a more almost like an ego whisperer. But what I like about Carlo Ancelotti is his ability to problem solve. Like, yes, there's the person to person stuff, but tactically, I think people fall asleep on this guy and don't give him the credit that he deserves. He's won the Champions League more than any other manager in modern football, like in his last 30 or so years. I don't know what happens in the pre-war years and how many people had done Champions League or before when it was called European Cup. But in this era of managers from like let's say mid 80s, maybe even 80s to now, he's won it as a player a couple times. I think he's won it about five times now, different clubs too, because he did win at AC Milan. He continues to redefine himself or um, redesign or reconfigure his way of working. He's worked across at least 4 decades now, to the noughties, the tens, and now. And I think he was also coaching in the 90s. So, so yeah, that's 4 decades. And he continues to be able to do it at this level. You can't just be an ego whisperer and perform at that level for as long as he has. Now, yes, you can say his approach maybe doesn't lead itself towards like being a dominant league force, like a Pep Guardiola. He can be a dominant league force, but he's won some leagues too. But I think with him, toe to toe with a given manager on a given day, he can go against anyone, and more often than not, he comes out top if it's like win or go home. He's one of the most clutch managers that I've seen. It's not a fluke. It is not a fluke. And the guy who also dominated Europe with Madrid was somebody who worked under him. Zinedine Zidane hasn't taken another job since he did the Real Madrid stint and won three Champions Leagues in a row. It's going to be interesting to see who he is as a coach. But Carlo, we have a special like place for him in world football as a person who just figures out how to win. Guy is a winner, and I just don't think when people talk about elite managers, they always leave him towards maybe the bottom end of these elite dudes that they talk about. We've had so many managers come and go, and dude is still here. Um, And what I like about him is the same thing I was criticizing Madrid for having played the first half the way they did, because I don't think that was the plan. But I heard an anecdote that was interesting about Ancelotti in a Champions League game against Roberto De Zerbi's Shakhtar Donetsk. Apparently, dude was like to his team, "Don't press them. They want you to press. You press them, they will punish you. If you don't press them, you catch them by surprise. They will probably be surprised with that, because they expect us to press them because we're Real Madrid and we're the team with all the resources. And he, just like that, figured something that, surprised Shakhtar, and Madrid won 5-0 in that game, playing reactive football. Like, what are you going to give us? Okay, we're going to take that. Um, and yeah, it's very, very interesting to see the way he has managed to also, as old as he is, stay relevant within the young people that he coach, within the young dressing rooms that he works with. He has good relationships with these young Brazilian kids, the old dudes in the changing room, and the young, and that's probably why Brazil wanted him, because Brazil are about winning tournaments. And I wouldn't be surprised when he leaves Real Madrid, whether it's this summer or next summer. I wouldn't be surprised that he leaves Real Madrid, goes to Brazil, and Real Madrid re-employs Zinedine Zidane because he's not taking any other jobs. Looks like he's waiting for the Madrid job to come back up again. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's so many different things here, that you can talk about in this game. But I was just wanted to have an instant reaction and talk about like Real Madrid's ability to just show up and win a knockout game. It has to be respected, especially in the time where there's so much money in football that has been pumped in by some of these oil state-owned clubs. But Madrid seems to have, at least for now, for the next 5 years or so, set themselves up beautifully to be part of, you know, that fight moving forward, which is kind of crazy considering, you know, they've been pushing to start a Super League. Um, I can understand why a lot of other clubs wanted the Super League because, money and relevance, like, was maybe a fear for some of them. But Madrid continues to dominate in this era, the Champions League, and yet, you know, they were the ones at the forefront. Florentino Perez was one of the, leading dudes when it came to, trying to start the Super League. Anyway, the football season is finally over, club football season, that is. And we have Euros coming up. I hope that everybody's gonna enjoy a little bit of downtime, and yeah, we will talk when Euro 2024 kicks up, and Copa America is kicking off as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited that there will be some football to keep me going over the summer versus the normal quiet boredom and scrolling down up and down Twitter looking for transfer rumors and who's telling what story, because there's a lot of bullshit um, in the transfer rumor cycles on the Twitters and all that. So anyway, guys, I gonna stop this one here. I will be talking to you soon. I'm gonna do some season reviews, and I'll be doing some potting as well through the Euros and the Copa America time. All right, folks. Hope you will have yourselves a great rest of your weekend. Cheers.